Live Huge Now, Being in Alignment series. Welcome to the Live Huge Now, Being in Alignment 3 Self-Empowerment Principles of Awareness. Are you a person or are you eternal? This is the third in a series of Self-Empowerment Principles of Awareness by Alignment in Spirit Incorporated. Katie and George have shared with you the latest and best information we have received via our own intuitive source self-awakening. This information is not to be dogmatic about or in any way religious, but to explore for your own connections which you have hidden and are now ready to retrieve. Get ready for some strange language and secrets that have been long suppressed but are now put together in a very usable package. Continuing with the intro. In this webinar, we will discuss and understand some of the stumbling blocks we have keeping us from fully embracing the God Source First Eternal We Be. How we communicate tells us much of where we are at and many times where we have been. We will explore our roots of where we come from. We will explore the history of how we went from being angelic humans to being called the Homo sapiens of second creation mechanics. Note, Homo sapiens are certainly not us, but they do walk with us now. More on this later. With communication codes, our ancient angelic selves left us, self-empowerment principles of creation, of awareness, we can find our way back as vibrational field manifestors to move from the perception of person state to the eternal internal state of awareness. This slide is a reminder to us that we embody the universe with all we want right at our fingertips, if only we allow all the joy of the experience. As Abraham Hicks says, we are eternal, so we never get it done and we never get it wrong. We are explorers on the leading edge of manifest expression, meaning those that manifest eternally to grow the creation.
Keys to deciphering the language of who we are. Language is created from the heart of a people. It is the song they sing of who they are. Written language was created when we forgot direct cognition, now used as a means of control of a people. Earth was seeded by first creation mechanics. Later, second creation mechanics intertwined itself throughout the language and culture as we chose to let go and forget our manifesting co-creative power. The language we use either supports us in who we are or takes us away from who we are. We can turn the written word into something that supports us and does not control us. This webinar will answer this and many other questions. There are many examples of first creation mechanics throughout known history that are shrouded in second creation mechanic illusion of a male god outside of ourselves that we have to aspire somehow to connect with. This connecting may vary through devotion and rituals, but the end result is the same. We are looking without and not within, to the God Source First Eternal that we be. We are living the finite small instead of the eternal huge. The following examples of first creation mechanics people had at certain points in their evolution or de-evolution were taken over by the second creation programmed people self. This includes not just the teachings, but the associated deities or teachers or elders that still had a memory of who they were but were typically killed, and the teachings were then taken and rewritten in the name of the teacher who wrote them. This webinar is to help us all understand at a more tangible, practical level who we are and what happened to us to make us forget who we are. To understand that while we have been altered to who we are, we still have the root of who we are in the teachings already on planet, more important in each of us. First key is knowing who we are now. Second key is realigning with the self-empowerment principles of awareness. A third key is unlocking the code of language to the correct claim of what is written to discover the secrets our ancient pre-incarnation selves had left for us, to trigger our own innate memories of who we are as God Source First Eternal. We remember that we are wonderful just the way we are right now. The next slide will show there is a hierarchy of what is important for the planet to sustain life. Without life, what do we have? What we have been thinking as important, quote unquote, on this planet is not, and what we have been taking for granted is important. Okay, hierarchy of the vessel Earth in the sea of universe. Number 1, most important. The planet, its resources, provided to support all life forms. No life form can hold without planetary support. Second, trees, plants, etc., which supports all other life forms. 3, other sentient life comprising subcategories, A being human, B all other animals, birds, fish, and insects, C other real entities such as germs, viruses, and bacteria. Okay, and that's the resource I got it from, if y'all want to check it out. Number 4, government. Examples, constitutions, parliament, and they require 3A, which is the human, to recognize it. Persons, such as judges, magistrates, lawyers, politicians, and police within the government system require the government, number 4, to recognize them. When we are in the office of person, then we become a very low in the hierarchy, and even lower when we take on additional offices. By nature, and that's where I got it from again, by nature we are anarchists, one who lives without government, for we govern ourselves. Okay, now we're into part 1, our true heritage. We will now explore a little bit of our heritage. Aisha Ashanda Dean in Voyager's series and Stewardship Initiative gives more in-depth detail of both our angelic/indigo heritage of first creation mechanics and our second creation mechanics, Anunnaki, Draconian, Zeta, Andromedan, and many more. We will get enough of a picture to understand how we are not from apes, nor did we come from a primitive people. We are a very highly advanced people that became genetically dumbed down to a Homo sapien. Civilization. Our true roots are based in a highly technological advanced civilization. We have regressed to this primitive culture. That information is what society, government, church, industry is afraid we will be rediscovered, that we have gone backward, not forward in our evolution. Everything we created, manifested, was for sustainability for all life everywhere in the universe, not just for the finite second creation mechanics living we do now. We created, or key elements to great civilization, we created in union with the elements, not in control of the elements. We only took what we needed at any particular time, trusting that life was perpetually renewing itself naturally. Hoarding or warehousing for tomorrow is a foreign concept. As our finite light body second creation mechanics grew in the midst of our own unresolved internal turmoil, our great civilizations decayed as the spirit within us muted itself. This is our heritage of first creation mechanics. We cannot discuss first creation mechanics without also discussing the history of our second creation mechanics. The two are forever intertwined together throughout our history, so both will be briefly discussed. Many books could be written on each culture. This webinar is going to give us enough of a taste so that each of us can explore on our own what cultural teachings resonates in our own self-actualization as it. The angelic human, first creation construct of Earth. The mystical and spiritual teachings of today emerged from the distant past of the pre-Atlantean era. Mystical and spiritual teachings have a covertly directed evolving humanity toward very specific objectives pertaining to a hidden sacred mission of planetary guardianship that the angelic human race was seated on Earth to fulfill. Originally, all mystical and spiritual teachings were intended to guide us toward fulfillment of the sacred mission. And this was from Voyagers 2, Secrets of Amenti. Okay, the founders' races. There are three main founders' races. First one, or one of them, is Emerald Order, the Elohai Elohim. Okay, not to be necessarily confused with the Ano Elohim. This is the Elohai Elohim. Ana is a part of them, but a slightly different variation in family. Gold Order, Seraphi Seraphim. Amethyst Order, the Brahmarama. And they tend to be the people from the sea, from the oceans, these last ones. The Seraphi Seraphim tend to be the winged beings. And Elohai Elohim actually tend to be like lions, cat-like people. We, first creation Rishi primal life beings, created ourselves as races of beings to uphold first creation mechanics in the face of the pull towards running second creation mechanics. But to do this, we had to take on the second creation mechanics program or step into the false matrix of finite illusion. What started out as an experiment in light body structure creating in its own image went very awry. Like in the movie The Matrix, the Mr. Smith program was threatening to take down the whole system. Neo was the savior who stopped Mr. Smith. In reality, Neo, is a team of beings, and we are it. We are a bit tattered and torn, but we are the angelic human saviors of our own selves. We are our saviors. We have the codes within us to realign the system back to its eternal structure. And that's been the big secret. That's what the government does not want us to know. Earth is just one of many worlds we have been a part of. For this webinar, we will just focus on Earth. Second creation mechanics wants us to put our faith in whatever savior it can make us believe, and preferably a male. what we as original human Orifim look like. And I say look in the present because that is still that is who we are. That's part of who we are. Okay, all time is simultaneous. Our original Lyrian, Syrian, Pleiadian, Orifim prototype self form is a thin, 12 to 20 foot tall, androgynous, feline, avian, human, land-water mammal, breatharian, one who does not eat but draws nourishment directly from the atmosphere in which it is placed. We're actually biologically starting to be able to do that a little bit again. And more as time passes, we'll be able to do it some more again with the changes that are going on planetarily. We have translucent, deep tan or powder white to pale blue skin, elongated skulls. I think people have been hearing about archaeologists finding those elongated skulls, petite childlike facial features, 6 fingers and toes, and no ears or small cat-like ears on the side of the head. Again, all this material is from Voyagers 2. Sometimes we have small cat-like lips and, with a split in the upper lip and a feline nose, others of us have small, thin lips with a downward dip in the upper lip that resembles the shape of a tiny bird beak, with a petite human childlike nose. Because remember, the founders are cats-like beings, bird-like beings, and not that this is said on some of these examples, but also fish or sea beings. So we do land-water capability. Some of us have pure white hair resembling long, soft fur. Others are bald or have soft feathered heads. We all have hairless bodies and large slanted almond eyes of golden, the gold order, electric blue, the blue order, or violet hue of the Brahmaramas, third order, with pure white vertical pupils, thin eyelids with fine white eyelashes, and no eyebrows. Some would vary more on the avian side, others the feline side. The Brahmarama cetacean lines are aquatic dolphins and whales. While we are androgynous, we tend to lean towards magnetic female energy or electrical male energy. We can create new life independently or jointly via coupling. The energetic egg, once formed, is birthed out of the navel and resides in the planetary grids until fully formed. Adolescents speaking the planetary language, knowing full and completely who we are. According to Mr. Forrester, the elongated heads known as the Paracas skulls in South America's DNA was tested to find they were a newly discovered species of humanoid. Newly. There was enough mtDNA sequenced to show we are dealing with a new human-like creature, very distant from Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans. Let's say this is an example of an original human Orifim, please.
History of our Christia Magi Indigo Grail line Melchizedek Cloister. Historically, we have been known as the Blue Human Maharaji lineage of Sirius B, the progenitors of the 12 Christic Magi Indigo Grail line Melchizedek Cloister priest of Grail line, and corresponding 12 tribes of Orifim descent. Each of our tribes holds special coding for a particular stargate or energy center on the planet. This information is in Voyagers 2 Secrets of Amenti, page 266 by Ashana Dean. These energy centers all tie into the ley lines and axiotonal lines of the planet. We are the ones who created the very ancient cities that we forgot who created. One example being the pyramids. We know who we were and our placement in the universe as God's source first eternal being. We understood how we had given our power away to second creation mechanics and the toll this was taking on all life everywhere. Our job is to realign second creation mechanics back to first creation mechanics, not to destroy or terminate beings. Our story continued examples. There was a further merging with another Rishi-Yannis group, the Palindorian. This union created the Shambhali and the Brahma mixed cloister races. These races evolved in inner Earth Agartha due to certain second creation events making Earth uninhabitable. Shambhali on surface Earth abides in the Paxos, Greece area. Brahma relates to the Brahma Hindu god and the ancient Dravidians of the Indus Valley in India. Very highly evolved people aware of anti-gravity and other advanced technologies, science, and surgery, who eventually became the Sikhs in India. The Shambhala from Agartha inner Earth are Shambhali that are running second creation mechanics. The Brahma Hindu god, Katie gets a sense that he is running a lot of second creation mechanics. At one time, Brahma was spoken and seen as a collective, but as most first creation mechanics, the teachings and the associated beings were somehow taken over. This is an intuitive feel on her part. Each person has to check this out for themselves. The ancient Dravidian race, personal meditation. There was a cave by a river and a large tree and blue person. There was a strong connection to the land. They had a very large totem-like obelisk with graphic language on it. They did ceremonies sitting around a tapestry-like Persian rug. Everyone was of equal status and each took turns leading the group. There was a strong feeling of family connection, trust, love, and unity. Overwhelming sense of love, joy, and loss. The rug is for a particular type of group travel. The portal opened up, a temple of the golden seed. Again, this is what Katie received during meditation. All names we discuss, please check out intuitively for yourself. The 12 angelic Magi Grail tribes. Tribe 1, Isutu Ishu, pronounced Isutu Ishu. Stargate DNA signet codes, seed locations, and races. Stargate 1, Arizona, USA Vortex 1, Native American Q Site 1, Cyprus Island in the Mediterranean Sea. Australia, Turkey, and Greece, and Antarctica. Stargate 1 in Atlantean period. Magi Indigo Grey Line, original blue and green-eyed Australian Aborigine or Origine, often red-haired. Tribe 2, Maahali-Brua, pronounced Ma'a-le-Brua. Stargate DNA signet codes, seed location and races. SG2, Florida Seminole Native Indians. SG2, Sarasota, Florida, and Brenoa, black and brown-skinned Haitian Bimini Island races. Easter Island, Q-Site 2, Moravi, and Jerusalem, Israel, Vortex 2, Ibiru races. Magi Indigo Grey Line, Mua of Lemuria, Hawaii, Easter Island, and out western Native American descendant tribes, original Hebrew, Ibiru cloister, and Melchizedek cloister hybrid races of Jerusalem and Jordan. Tribe 3. Amekasun Etur, pronounced Amekasun Etur. Stargate DNA signet code, seed locations and races. Stargate 3, Nohasa Atlantis, Bermuda Islands. Stargate 3, Johannesburg, South Africa, black, brown, and white-skinned races, and Nepal, Vortex 3, Himalayas. Magi Indigo Grail line, white-skinned druidic of Nohasa Atlantis. This is part of the current Bible information that Roman Church ordered rewritten in 325 AD Nicene Council decisions by the then sitting Pope. The 12 angelic Magi Grail tribes. Tribe 4. Nuagahali, pronounced Nuaguhale. Stargate DNA signet code, seed locations and races. SG4, Giza, Egypt. SG4 and Sumerian Ur. Aguascalientes, Mexico, Q-Site 4 and Central America. Magi Indigo Grail lines, Cirrus Egyptians, original pre-Anunnaki, Maya, Toltec, and Mexicali Indians. Tribe 5. Ionatu Etila, pronounced Ionatu It-Il-A. Stargate DNA signet code, seed location and races. SG5, Machu Picchu, Peru, Incas. SG5, original Ionian Italian races. Magi Indigo Grail line, Mua Incas of Machu Picchu, Peru, and light-skinned, often fair or red-haired Celtic Druidic Mua Ionian. Combined Magi grain lines of Nohasa Atlantis, Tribe 3, Magi Druidic and Lohas Atlantis, Tribe 11, Magi Celtic, exiled to Ionia as Anunnaki Leviathan raiding progressed. Tribe 6, Ramayana Shrid Veda, pronounced Ramayana Shrid Veda. Stargate DNA signet code, seed locations and races. SG6, Russia, Caucasus Mountains. SG6 and Scandinavian white-skinned blonde-haired races, brown-skinned Rama races of India, Thar Desert, Q-Site 6, Magi Indigo Grey Line, Remavita races of India, and original blue-eyed blonde Nordic races of Scandinavia and Russia. The 12 angelic Magi Grail tribes continued. Tribe 7, Mahata Agra, pronounced Mehata Agra. Stargate DNA signet code, seed locations and races. Stargate 7, Lake Titicaca, Peru, Incas and indigenous olive-skinned people of Paxos Island, Greece. Magi Indigo Grail lines, original Mahata Inca, Lake Titicaca, Peru, fled from intruder raiders to Kauai, Hawaii, and original olive-skinned green-eyed Ionians of Paxos Island. Tribe 8, Shaizun Zan Layun, pronounced Sheazun Yan Layun. Stargate DNA signet code, seed location, and races. Xi'an, China. Stargate 8, original yellow-skinned races and original brown-skinned races of Taklamakan Desert in Tibet. Magi Indigo Grey lines, original U Melchizedek Tibetan light brown-skinned, light-eyed races of Lopnor, Taklamakan, Tibet region, before Necromatin Andromi Nephilim raiding, and Yu Chinese lineage. Tribe 9, Yunzuzhen, pronounced Yunzuzhen. Stargate DNA signet code, seed locations and races. Stargate 9. North of Lhasa, Tibet. Brown-skinned races and Westbury area, southern England, white-skinned, dark-haired races. Q Site 9, Magi Indigo Gray Line, Yu Mua Chinese and dark-haired, dark-eyed, fair-skinned original English Mua Melchizedek races. The 12 angelic Magi Grail tribes continued. Tribe 10, Mahuta, pronounced Mahuta. Stargate DNA signet code, seed location and races. Stargate 10, Sumerian Ur. Persian Gulf, Abadan, Iran, Stargate 10 area, and Al-Basra, Iraq, Q Site 10 area. Many family lines fled to Saqqara, Egypt, and regions now called Afghanistan and Uzbekistan during early Sumerian raids. Continued to live under persecution of Leviathan and Illuminati races. Magi Indigo Grail Line. Light brown-skinned, light-eyed, dark-haired races and dark-eyed Essene Melchizedek races of Persia, now mostly in Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Russia. Tribe 11, Zephardun Atur, pronounced Zephardun Atur. Stargate DNA signet code, seed location and races. Stargate 11, Southern Ireland, Q Site 11. Vale of Pusey area, Southern England, Stargate 11. Scotland Lowlands, white-skinned European races now in England, France, Russia, USA, and Germany. Raided by Pleiadian Samjas, Luciferian Anunnaki, Germanic Saxions, Saxon, Magi Indigo Grey Line. Celtic, Druidic, Hybrid, Azurta, Aruta, Celtic Druids. White-skinned, frequently red-haired, the true King Arthur Grail Line. Tribe 12, Yari Azuta, pronounced Ari Azuta. Stargate DNA signet code, seed location and races. Stargate 12, Montségur, France, southern France. Stargate 12, white-skinned and original Moa, Lemurian, Kwai Hawaiian, brown-skinned, dark-eyed races, exiled to Easter Island and Machu Picchu, Peru. Builders, Magi Indigo Grey Line, original Moa, Kwai Hawaiian, brown-skinned and Cathari, white-skinned races of southern France. At this point, we are hard-pressed to find a pure Magi Grail tribe on surface Earth. We are now all a mixture of many of the tribes, as well as most of the second creation constructs such as Anunnaki, Draconian, Zeta, Andromi, and the list goes on of all the interesting DNA coding as Homo sapiens we have become. What we are now physically is a pale comparison of what we were, but we do still have it in our DNA coding, and it can be activated now.
Vishnu, the blue human Maharaji. In almost all Hindu denominations, Vishnu is either worshipped directly or in the form of his 10 avatars, the most famous of whom are Rama and Krishna. The Paranabharati, an ancient text, describes these as the Dashavatari, or the 10 avatars of Vishnu. Among the 10 described, 9 have occurred in the past, and 1 will take place in the future as Lord Kalki at the end of Kali Yuga, the 4th and final stage in the cycle of yugas that the world goes through. These incarnations take place in all yugas in cosmic scales. Chances are there were 12, not 10 avatars. Vishnu may have been a rishi and Rama was a 12-stranded Maharata avatar. In regards to the yoga, in Keylontic science, they would say e-yuga, time cycles. Also, there is a Kali Hara and a Hara Krista and a Mahara Rishi, time cycles or states of evolution. Who we have named as deities were actually states of consciousness which later became distorted and personified into deities. After all, we all are consciousness and have a part of our who we are in all those states of being. Rama, the blue human Maharaji. The legend of Rama is deeply influential and popular in the societies of the Indian subcontinent and across Southeast Asia. Rama is revered for his unending compassion, courage, and devotion to religious values and duty. Rama was a collective consciousness angelic family line that became deified, a very powerful first creation collective that played a key role in paving the way for a lot of first creation grid work done by Aisha and the group. Okay, Sikhism, example of first creation mechanics. First, Sikhism is a practical religion. It does not consist in a certain set of beliefs or mere words. Religion does not imply wandering to shrines and tombs, or following austerities of yogis. Sikhism is a way of life, something to be lived according to a pattern. Its main virtue is simplicity. There is no supernaturalism or mythology on which it rests. It does not believe in devils or angels or heavenly spirits. 2. Sikhism is a universal religion. I should say really more of a universal way of thinking or way of being. Number 3, Sikhism is opposed to all ritualism and formalism. Four, Sikhism does not enjoin blind faith. Blind obedience to an external authority is discouraged. The death of the intellect cannot be a condition of the life of the spirit. Faith does not start with surmises or absurdities. 5. Sikhism is a faith of hope and cheer. Though it affirms karma, it recognizes the possibility of the modification of one's karma with the grace of the Guru or God. It does not lead to despair or defeatism. Sikhism is a democratic religion, way of life. The decisions of the Sangat are regarded as resolutions having the force of law, or Gurmata. Guru Gobind Singh Sahib vested the authority of the organization in the Panth. There is much first creation mechanics still left in the old Dravidian religion, but there is also much left out. Grid mechanics and multidimensionality mechanics were left out, but still attribute to the origin of who we are. Alrighty, part 2. Second creation mechanics, the New World Order history. Okay. When we, Source, created the manifest light vibration world, we further explored through our light body structure a new creation, a second creation. This creation we violated our own mechanics of the Trinity of Light, Sound, One Spirit to create the construct of a world we thought we could manipulate in our own individuated light image, thus exploring the concept of individuation away from our collective self. We came to manifest our outer expression of self as finite constructs as we became our own second creation program. This program, not running the codes of first creation perpetual renewal of life and the awareness of interconnectedness, came to run the codes of finite life structure. This program in turn keeps feeding on itself, causing us to further let go of who we are and the power we embody as source. Being the powerful manifestors that we are, we continue to run this finite code program, and we do it very meticulously. We shut down our psychic abilities and created a verbal language and then a written language to communicate. The next step was how to destroy the power of written communication, which would in turn affect verbal communication. How would you take over a world? You take over people's ability to effectively communicate what they want to manifest and how they communicate with each other. The following, a glimpse, is the history of how we continually manifest second creation mechanics in this time-space reality we call Earth. Okay, history of the Freemasons, Knights Templar, Illuminati, and the One World, New World order of second creation mechanics. 7500 BC, the Knights Templar, which are Luciferian, Covenant, Anunnaki races. They raided Celtic and Druidic Magi Grail King 12 tribe Levin races. Okay, they forced interbreeding between the. So they took this particular Magi Grail line. They forced interbreeding with Nubarian Thoth Inki. Okay, all of you have heard of Nibiru and Thoth and Inki. Inki is they are fallen or second creation mechanics. Another group was Pleiadian Nubarian, again the Nibiru, Sanchez, Luciferian, and then you have the Alpha Omega Centauri Murdoch Necromaton, okay, Luciferian Anunnaki, Anu Melchizedek, okay, which are also known as the Templar Melchizedek, Illuminati human lines. Don't confuse with the Cloister Melchizedeks, okay, different, kind of the same family, but ones that it got became second creation mechanics of the finite. Okay, all these different family Illuminati human lines with, again, the Magi Grail King lines for Illuminati race DNA template upgrade. Okay, these Knights Templars created the Luciferian quote-unquote super race Knights Templar, Sumerian Larsa King, Egyptian Osiris, Isis, Horus, Scarab King, and Egyptian Mennonite Hyksos King, and Indian Centaur King Anu Melchizedek, Anunnaki plus, because they had to have the angelic human in there to get the upgrade, Celtic, Druidic, Atlantean Grail King line. Okay. They are the ancestors of contemporary Freemasons / Illuminati. Okay. The Freemasons originally were the actual Druidic Magi Grail King line of Tribe 11. The Scotland, very much the true origins. But as of 7500 BC, that got compromised. So there's still bits and pieces of the teachings, but overall the people running the show are not the Grail line anymore. They're in there. They'll hold the secrets as best they can, but the people you see publicly, for the most part, that are in power, the true power of the group, are running second creation mechanics. And as you know, some of these names we have heard spoken in the New Age movement as saying they are our founding races or recent alien invaders. They are not our founders, and they are not new to Earth, and we have each of them in our DNA coding. Because remember, they interbred with us, okay? As we are first creation mechanics, we are also second creation mechanics, for there is nothing in our world that is at some level we have not created. More names will periodically be mentioned in this webinar. A webinar could be done just on second creation mechanics cultures, and Aisha Ashanda Dean has done an excellent job in exposing who they are. She uses the term fallen angelic for once they were expressing as first creation mechanics until they chose differently, shattering their race morphogenetic field, becoming the finite, dead-like living structures they are now. We are now in a journey of putting all our parts back together again. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. All the king's men, all the king's horses couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again because he's got to do it himself, which is us. We're it. History of the Freemasons, Knights Templar, Illuminati, and the One World Order. Second World Order. One World Order, New World Order of Second Creation Mechanics continued. The Luciferian, Super Race, Knights Templar, Sumerian Larsa King, plus Egyptian Osiris, Isis, Horus, Scarab King, and Egyptian Mennonite Hyksos King, and Indian Centaur King, Melchizedek, Anunnaki plus Celtic, Druidic, Atlantean Grail King, brackets Freemason, became the second creation mechanic pharaohs of Egypt. At 8,500 years ago, these Masonic pharaohs, in their need to uphold second creation mechanics, created a control system to make sure we would stay amnesic by changing the language and creating a fictitious world where they, being the top 3%, control the population, feeding into people's fear of not standing in their own personal God source, first eternal power by becoming like sheep to be controlled. They created an adverb-verb language to destroy all 12-tribe first creation mechanic code programs. They manipulated the Earth's Templar to further erase race memory so they could have their own world order. As we become more and more finite in feeling separated from ourselves and the world around us, we felt there was never enough and we were not okay, and we had to manipulate and control everything and everyone. Well-being. What was that? Isis is a second creation mechanics construct. Isis of ancient Greek, original Egyptian pronunciation, more likely Aset or Iset, is a goddess in ancient Egyptian religious beliefs whose worship spread throughout the Greco-Roman world. As the personification of the throne, she was an important representation of the pharaoh's power. Again, Mason Pharaoh, Freemason Pharaoh, interchangeable. Okay? And one of their deities, one of their power structures, was wielded with their code of Isis. Isis represents a collective of the Nubarian, Thoth, Enki, and Enlil, Odedakron, Anunnaki, Zeta, Reticuli, Necromaton, Andrami, Nephilim, hybrids, Centaur, Luciferian, Anunnaki, that Rothschilds and many Illuminati families follow in their private Luciferian and/or satanic rituals. Both Lucifer and Satan are both very old Anunnaki collective family lines. The Anunnaki came from our Anu Elohim Rishi collective, who fully embodied the second creation mechanics program, causing them to fall to avatar status 950 billion years ago. This is from Voyagers 2, page 532 through 537. Give a lot of detailed information about our different second creation collective groups. Again, we just have a snapshot of the full picture, just enough for our own awareness of where we came from to understand what mechanics have been running, and in this now moment, What do we want to continue to run? It's all our choice. The resource section has the Eye of Isis Eaglehead Terra Covenant Treaty, or the Eye of the Camel Treaty, which is just full of Isis and Luciferian references. Okay. Continuation of development of the One New World Order of Second Creation Mechanics. By 4700 BC, the pharaohs established international 70-year bankruptcy by the Masons, 6,500, which is 6,500 years ago. This bankruptcy timeline is strictly held throughout history. Okay, and got a lot of really good information from David Windmiller. And his site is in the resource section to learn a lot of stuff. I would say the discovery and the end of civilization are linked with these bankruptcy timelines. Okay. Continued development of the One World Order of Second Creation Mechanics. Speaking Babel began. 3470 BC, the biblical Tower of Babel happened. The Pleiadian, Nibarian legions, Galactic Federation. Many have heard about the Galactic Federation in the New Age movement as supposedly good guys. No. And the Anno-Melchizedek Human Illuminati, One World Order, Second Creation Fiction, gained temporary control of the Magi Grail King's first creation Ark of the Covenant gold box, which contained at the time the rod and the staff tools for portal opening and closing of the Amenti gates, which is a first creation construct in support of keeping first creation mechanics awake. Even this far back, we are still highly advanced technology where lasers was in common use. And they used these tools tying into Stonehenge, England, Nibarian diodic crystal grid to cause temporary collapse of Earth's magnetic grids and to set parts of the fire letter sequences, which is the DNA functioning, in Earth's planetary shields into reverse sequence. So it did the Earth shields, which then in turn did our own human shields. Okay. This caused mutation in the human DNA template that shortened human lifespan, blocked higher sensory perception, caused loss of race memory, and scrambling of our original language patterns, which are built upon DNA template fire letter sequencing. We have been fully amnesic, dying young, and babbling on since that time. This opened the door for second creation mechanics to fully create its fiction system of language and associated government of adverb-verb illusion. DNA mathematical fire letter codes. As God source first eternal, we communicated telepathically, direct cognition. Language was used as codes for singing, for celebration, and for healing or for creating. The Age of Babel marked an end to the worldwide telepathic language of communication and the loss of memory of our ancestry. Our second creation construction that created false history and language that furthered its agenda to keep its program alive by shutting down our memory, to which we were in agreement to do. This new language we created out of the word codes we used for songs to recode our fire letter code DNA. Thank you, Magi Grail Line elders of First Creation Mechanics. The change that we just talked about did not happen, thankfully, overnight. Certain areas held longer than others, such as the real people of Australia, or the Aborigines that have been called Ab, meaning none, not original, the Aborigines, of Magi Grail Line 12 Tribe 1, and there were elders of other Magi Grail Line 12 tribes who held on to their memories, telling the stories that became our ancient myths. But even these stories were twisted or purposefully written in code so that these documents would not be destroyed by the second creation controllers. The Mahabharata of India is an example of one of these surviving ancient texts. The images we see on cave walls are codes to decipher, and most times not some primitive culture stories. The second creation mechanics legions of the Roman Empire. 26 BC Roman invasion. Omicron Draconian legions of Orion, moved their Nephidim and Melchizedek Illuminati races into political power with the Ionian Empire of Italy deposing Angelic Human 12 Tribe 5 of Italy and Ionian exiled Celtic. Druidic and Seminole Atlantean Magi Grail kings to create stronghold of Roman Empire dominion. These second creation legions transposed their identity race line over the Angelic Human Tribe 5 Grail line, corrupting the Ionian Grail King's sacred CD plate spiritual teachings to create the foundation of the Church of Rome, Catholic religious control dogma, political machine. Our second creation legions paving the way to Seminole and Amikasan 12 tribes 2 and 3 the Americas. 1491, the Roman legions purchased their title back from the white tribes of Europe, or Pleiadian, Samchez, Luciferian, Anunnaki, Germanic, Saxons, or Saxons, when the Romans had unconditionally surrendered to the Visigoths. A treaty was signed at that time marking the end of the Roman Empire in Italy and fortifying the Second Rome in England. The Romans still to this day have to abide by the treaty conditions. One of the conditions is no country can make you a citizen because you already are a world citizen. A year later, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. This was again onward legion soldiers. And the treaty law by Meredith Quinn, Dakota, has a lot of information on this. We now jump to the 1800s to explore the One World Order change to the New World Order, which is really just more of the same second creation mechanics programs. Rothschild is Pleiadian Samchez. Rothschild family line is Pleiadian Samchez Luciferian Anunnaki Illuminati line. Ethnicity Ashkenazi Jewish. Current region Monaco, Luxembourg, France, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Germany, United Kingdom, United States, Cayman Islands. Place of origin Free City of Frankfurt, Holy Roman Empire. Affiliations: Protestant Christian text distortion, ISIS Mystic School, Pleiadian channels, and UFO contacts. Okay. Rothschild's family is an example of one of our 12 MJ Illuminati second creation mechanics families. meaning, again, second creation mechanics families, they're running the energies of finite light structure. Okay. Next few slides shares a taste of the influence this family has in furthering our second creation mechanics programs in the area of communication and utilizing the 70-year international bankruptcy to gain control and keep control. Introduction of the use of adverb-verb grammar in the Illuminati Masonic One New World Order agenda. In 1750, the Rothschild family traveled to Persia to borrow money that they never paid back. 1800s, Rothschild's family controls all the international banks around the world as a four-brother team using passenger pigeons. Rothschild, through his passenger pigeons, finds out that Napoleon loses at Waterloo 2 hours before anyone else knows. London Stock Exchange was 2 cents on the dollar when they thought Napoleon had won. Rothschild bought up 80% of all stocks on margin whatever way he could, becoming the richest man in the world. Interesting note, Old Persia, which is Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, the home of the Blue Maharaji, the home of the mystics in the 12-tribe 10 and associated Q activation site 10, also a place where much turmoil and fighting occurs. Keep in mind the Muslim religion is not the original teachings of those grids. While Allah is a sound tone or state of being and honored and respected, the Muslim doctrine is like Christianity. It is an evolutionary twist from the core oneness, first creation mechanics we birthed in knowing. The religions of today have powerful truths and a lot of twists, and we've got to go back to our internal guidance on what is correct to each of us. Persia is also strategically located for commerce, and in the 1700s, the new Persian Empire taxed this commerce, which was no longer under Grail Line control. The Leviathan Illuminati had control of the area at this point, so it was one Illuminati family line borrowing money from another family line. Intro of adverb grammar continued. Rothschild said anyone could have all the money they wanted, as in loans, if they removed the preposition from sentences, making them adverb-verb sentences, which means all contracts are made fiction void. To this day, Rothschild has not paid back their loan to Persia. The note was being held in Baghdad, Iran. Some contracts just cannot be destroyed. When people have chosen not to speak adverb-verb, 1800 through 1839, Hawaii people got their heads cut off for not communicating in adverb-verb legal language. Stalin captures Russia in 1917 and borrows money to fund the revolution from Rothschild with the agreement that the Russians had to communicate legally in adverb-verb. Stalin had 80 million Russians murdered that refused to cooperate. 70 years later, the Berlin Wall came down. President Reagan made his speech of tear this wall down because he knew it was the end of the Russians' 70-year international bankruptcy. Russia went through a very, very, very difficult time coming out of the bankruptcy, but are now a self-sovereign nation. Again, a lot of this material is from David Wynn Miller. Okay, there is his story, and then there is what actually happens, the real story. Hawaii and the birth of New World Order. 1848, King Kamehameha III nationalized the Hawaii Islands under the Bishop's Trust. The countries divided up, with the Hawaiians getting the choice lands and China, Japan, and Philippines each getting 1/3 of the rest. These countries then declare Hawaii as part of their country. King Kamehameha the fourth declares that in 20 years, the third declares that in 20 years, if there are no Hawaiians living, the land is up for resettlement. Okay, this is a Mu'e Kauai Hawaiian of Magi Grail Line 12 genocide. Okay. October 22nd, 1871, Bern, Switzerland, which is the Universal Postal Union, UPU, convinced King Kamehameha V to file international bankruptcy, which in turn puts in place maritime salvage, Title 46, Chapter 16, Section 781, salvage. In 1872, the king is assassinated. The Hawaiian Masons enact the 20-year moratorium. After the appropriate days, the paperwork of adverb verb was signed on 1789, making the Universal Postal Union of Bern, Switzerland, controllers of Hawaii under the appearance of it being the USA. Okay, maritime law, also called Admiralty Law or the Law of Admiralty. The laws and regulations, including the international agreements and treaties, which exclusively govern activities at sea or in navigable waters. In the United States, federal courts have jurisdiction over maritime law. There are water vessels that come to dock at a port, and there are dry dock vessels. A court docket or document is an example of a dry docked vessel in the sea of air on Earth. On the Earth vessel in the sea of universe. We are under military law via the Universal Postal Union. Universal Postal Union, the New World Order. We are under maritime law, which is under the Department of Transportation or Port Authority, which is under the Postal Service. Born Switzerland, 22nd of October 1873 in Hawaii, was the first city/country as an independent nation to sign for 2-cent stamp to travel anywhere in the world. All 250 countries followed suit to sign up for the post office to have the authority to transport vessels for 2 cents. Vessels include letters, cars, trains, Pony Express, etc., equaling all commerce. The Universal Postal Union is in control of the military and the money, all facets of it. They are the policymakers of the United Nations, as the USPS is the policymaker of the USA. Please go online and check out the UPU. They are heavily intertwined with the United Nations, controlling commerce, banking, and military. History of the Freemasons, Knights Templar, Illuminati, and the One World New World Order of Second Creation Mechanics in the USA. As part of the planned, premeditated Atlantean conspiracy strategy in 1750 AD, the Galactic Federation and Pleiadian, Nibarian, Luciferian, Anunnaki races began making remote contact with their chosen ones, descendants of their respective Anu, Melchizedek, Illuminati races, who carried the DNA template implantation, allowing for telepathic rapport from their genetic ancestral line. After rising to covert power in Europe and various other regions, Galactic Federation and the Pleiadian Iberians motivated the American Revolution and the founding of the United States of America via secret society occult school inspiration of their Luciferian Knights Templar and Melchizedek Illuminati races. We all, at some level, have been living an illusion of what we wanted to think the world is or should be. The land of the free may not be as free as we thought it to be. Still a wonderful place to live, and could be even better the more we all become aware of what is fact and not fiction. We can truly live by sovereign self-empowerment principles of awareness. These next few slides are going to make us wake up a bit more. The United States is an example of a country taken over by the New World Order from its conception. In 1775, the American revolutionaries borrowed 1.6 million francs from France to fight the Revolutionary War. 7 years later, a very broke new country filed bankruptcy for 2 million francs. 1789, the 17th of September, now 3 million the England Rothschild Illuminati controller bought the note for 70-year international bankruptcy payback during the time the Constitution happened to be created. The Constitution could not get signed until the Bill of Rights was placed on top and bonded to the document. Therefore, by passing the Bill of Rights, the Constitution was passed too. The Declaration of Independence, when properly syntaxed, means D, no, clara, speak, shun, contract, of, or, in, no, depend, right, ins, contract, equals, you shall not speak or write contract. And our founding fathers did this to us. Okay. This was all done by a French attorney paid by the English crown to capture the United States of America by the founder of the Continental Congress, Benjamin Franklin. Treason at its worst. Interesting side note, he was a Freemason like most of the founders, and he was a deputy postmaster general of the North American colonies. Interesting that two different people with totally two different backgrounds come up with the Masons' involvement in the establishment of the United States, and it was not for a supposedly free country. One truth that is easily discerned, though, is Dr. Franklin's attitude towards England. He loved, and this is a quote by Pearson Moore. Excuse me, I should have said that at the beginning. One truth that is easily discerned, though, is Dr. Franklin's attitude toward England. He loved his new home, and more than anything else, he enjoyed living the life of an English gentleman. Okay. And he really did not like the French. I read some other material on that. He did not like the French. So, okay. Even though he was a French ambassador and blah, 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 did not help things with us, with the French. The United States is an example, of a country taken over by the New World Order from its conception. Continued. 1859, September 17th, 70 years later. And then, with the appropriate 45-day trust law and 3-day rescission rights, in 1860, Fort Sumter was fired on, and the South seceded from the Union, causing civil war. Interesting. 1929, 70 years with appropriate following days. November 2nd, the stock market crashes and the Great Depression ensues. November 2nd, 1999, the United States Constitution ended, and February 2nd, 2000, the United States of America Corporation began, and what we did have of a democracy is dead. Okay, part 3, mechanics. The mechanics' second creation, new world order issues to control. We are coming to see a pattern of how, as God's source first eternal, we have created a finite second creation overlay construct that is interlaced throughout the natural Criss code perpetually renewal reality. The second creation creates contrast to the natural order, pushing us to expand further out than we first thought we could go. After all, second creation construct was created by us as we explored what we could create as a manifest source construct. The problem is the creation got away from us a bit, and we got caught up in its program, becoming amnesic to who we are. This next section looks at the specific mechanics as a society we use to run second creation mechanics. Things we all have taken for granted as the norm is not the norm, and is orchestrated to keep us under control and asleep so that our second creation construct can feed to stay alive. The previous section gave examples of 3D groups embodying the second creation program, but keep in mind they also embody first creation, or they would not be alive. They too have the opportunity to awaken, but as in the movie The Matrix, the leader Morpheus tells Neo that the very people we are protecting are the very ones that we are in danger of. This next section helps us to better understand why this is true. Person, the mask an actor wears. The word person in legal terminology is perceived as a general word which normally includes in its scope a variety of entities other than human beings. The word person includes individuals, children, firms, associations, joint ventures, partnerships, estates, trusts, business trusts, syndicates, fiduciaries, corporations, and all other groups of combinations. Person is not who we thought it was. Person does not mean self-sovereign. It is an entity for political and or financial gain. The official state of office known as person. The most common office held in a state is therefore the office known as person. Your state legislator created this office as a way to control people. It is an office most people occupy without even knowing that they are doing so. The legislature cannot lawfully control you because you are flesh and blood human being. Citizenship and or establishing residency is the system's way of establishing us in the office of person. We are not given the choice yes or no. It is assumed by default. In actuality, we are a self-sovereign citizen of the universe. Name equals person. We have been convinced that we are a name. Everything we do in society, court, government is attached to our name. For name equals identity. Person is the name that the flesh and blood live-birthed human. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Person is the name. It's not the flesh and blood life-birthed human. We became an asset to be used to pay off the 70-year corporate debt, a debt we use to keep ourselves under control. How we become a name person of the state. At birth, we are considered being alive until we are given a name on our birth certificate, which makes us nom de guerre. Trust law gives us 45 days before our names are sold to the IRS and assigned a Social Security number, where $1 million is put in a trust for the worth of the now named person of the state. We then become a named person or non-living entity. We are no longer considered self-sovereign live vessels berthed in the port of the ship called Earth in the sea of the universe. Natural law, law of the land, common law, law of the common man. Natural law, the physical chemistry, or what is innately given. There is no penalty for breaking because natural laws cannot be broken. Example, the law of gravity. So there is no need for judges or courts. Common law or common sense law of acting in a way that works for the support of the community and all life everywhere, all in agreement case by case. You violate these natural laws, then there is no more life to sustain. Natural law is the law we set up as God's source first eternal. We further evolved to common sense law as we experienced physical manifestation. Legalese, government, illusion, adverb, verb. So, adverb is modification, equals no contract, fiction. Verb, action thinking is singular or plural. Adjective equals no contract, color of the fact. We notice none of these are a fact, lodial, yet our sentences are made up of a combination of these, making what we say an illusion or saying nothing about nothing. Furthermore, the prepositional position phrase has been removed from the sentence. Without the preposition, the fact becomes either an adverb or a verb, equals nothing or fiction. We become a fictitious name speaking a fictitious language. And again, this is David Wynn-Miller's material on quantum grammar as well. It'll be mentioned more later. Legalese. The end of common man law. Okay, legalese is an English term first used in 1914 for legal writing that is very difficult for laymen to read and understand. The implication being that this obtrusiveness is deliberate for excluding the legally untrained and to justify high fees. Legalese as a term has been adopted in other languages. Legalese is characterized by long sentences, many modifying clauses, complex vocabulary, high abstraction, and sensitivity to the layman's need to understand the document's gist. Legalese arises most commonly in legal drafting, yet appears in both types of legal analysis. The court system is not for our protection, but rather another way second creation mechanics has control. I had a first-hand experience dealing with the kangaroo court we call justice recently. There was nothing about justice, it was all about politics, concealment, and control. Example of adverb-verb sentence. I went through a stop sign. I equals pronoun. Went equals adverb. Through equals verb. The equals pronoun. Stop equals adverb. And sign equals verb. There is no fact in this sentence, making it an illusion with a dangling participle phrase. There is no fact in this sentence. There is no clarity in this sentence. How can anyone go through a stop sign? And there is no preposition, now time. Yet we take this sentence as real. No justice for the person. The court will not try a fact or law in court. I should say a judge probably and a lawyer will not try a fact or law in court. Maybe a little bit more accurate too. Judges sit in a box on a plane above everyone else where they cannot hear or see anyone else but the clerk. She is an actor on a stage. He wears dark robes to mourn the death of justice. The attorney's job is to support the judge and the court system. The language is adverb-verb legalese fiction where no fact is to be found or tried ever. The judges and attorneys and clerk work out deals to their liking that have nothing to do with facts or truth, but all to do with who has the power. We are named sheep for the slaughter. I observed this in court recently. The judge was partial to the accuser, taking another person to court to get two of their pets euthanized. There was no seeing both sides. There was only how the judge was going to appease his friends who are in political power in the community. There is justice for the self-sovereign eternal being. We can stand in our self-sovereign eternal being and take the court using correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. We do this by bringing the second creation mechanics controller system out of the shadows to break the illusion we all have been living, be-li-ving. The Universal Postal Union has jurisdiction over the court system under maritime law. The courthouse is in dry dock on Earth. That is why we get a docket number. The court is the paperwork, not the building. When we walk into the building, we are walking into a vessel in the sea of space on Earth. We are no longer in the territory of the state we started out from. Excuse me. The same case I experienced going to court utilizing Judge Miller's materials and support. Judge Miller is totally correct in what he says. The judge was so angry and would not let us talk, and even said on record that he would not recognize any other authority other than the one men died for. This told me that there is something to what Judge Miller says. I was helping a family member who had listened to the material but was coming from a person state and not a self-sovereign space. The judge smelled her fear, and she would not take the court. This family member had thought she could just get a case easily dismissed because no fact shall be tried in a fictitious court. This family member hired an attorney that totally did just what Judge Miller said that they would do. She supported the judge and the system, and this family member was unable to present anything in court on her own behalf. It was all decided by a discussion between judge and attorney beforehand. The judge was partial to the person filing the case, and that was it. The judge knew it, was an authority above his court, and he was very angry, and even had said at one point he would not recognize any other court but the one men and women died for. Well, men and women died for us to be able to be self-sovereign beings and not named official chattel. I am not for the Universal Postal Union / Illuminati control of second creation mechanics, but as long as we live an illusion, our program will keep running us and not the other way around. Taking the court. For the claimant's knowledge of the facts is with the claim of the laws, rules, codes, and regulations with the correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar of this court with avoidance of the perjury. Spoken in quantum grammar. This statement the judge would not allow to be said in court, period. Could not even get it on public record at that court. It was so truthful. This is an excellent example of quantum grammar and what to say to take your power back as a self-sovereign world citizen in court. Be advised, this is the start of the way back. One cannot then go back to adverb-verb illusion. As doing so, one will then be committing perjury knowingly. It takes a minimum of 200 hours of study and research to start to become proficient, understand the nature of the power we each hold in this long-hidden arena of grammar. Words really do mean things. And my favorite example here, the game of life. The game of second creation life board game. I think it's by Procter. No, I don't know exactly who it's from. I think it's Coolio. The game board is the stage that the state office of person the mask and actor wears act upon. The board is an overlay illusion over the actual ship of Earth moving in a sea of universe of first creation mechanics of common human law and law of the land. The overlay is the second creation construct in the disguise of legalized government illusion. Okay. We commonly have 6 plastic pawns in the game. Persons used by others for their own purpose. In other words, a pawn is a puppet, a dupe, a hostage, a tool, and most interesting, a pawn can be used as collateral for credit, meaning there is a value and use for said pawn. Yet this pawn allows itself to be used for another's purpose. Pawn has no individual self-sovereign identity, just a named piece to be used. Banker's tray, the controller's institutional system. The Illuminati ruling system, who run the agenda of our second creation construct, non-physical selves who relish in oppositional control mechanics, they are the most amnesic of all. They have methodically constructed the Universal Postal Union to be their one world order undercover control vessel. Stacks of money, tools of the controllers. The play money is for the pawn to play with. The bankers count on the circulation of the money to gain the credit of their value of the pawn. The pawn has the value, not the paper. The paper is the carrot to move the pawn. Bank loans and pay raises, 2 mechanisms the controller uses. A loan is a promissory note on the value of the pawn. We sign an agreement to the promise. The pawns are then indentured to the note until they pay. They are tied to the system to receive their wages and pay raises. Pawns follow the rules of the game and not their own internal guidance system. Their job is to make the controllers feel good and secure. The controllers have been conditioned to feed on outside resources for their sustenance. The pawns have learned to do the same with each other, and the beat goes on, generation after generation. Money, the tool of second creation mechanics. Money equals credit. Check it out on your bank statement. It's listed as credit. Faith is placed in something for the value you give it, for trade of goods and services. That is money, the value of money, what we give it. Worth, value, is imagination. Again, what we create in our minds, what we determine. Money does not equal freedom. Veronica Chapman. Actually, Veronica Chapman is very helpful in this. I learned a lot, gave me a very strong perspective on what was going on with all this. So it's definitely worth that HTTP thing. YouTube link is very worth listening to, getting more detailed information. Through this control system, our identity as name is tied heavily with the need for money. Money holds no value except the vibrational value we give it, right? The imagination, the energy, how we feel, what we see it as. The distorted money code program on this planet is that to make money we have to sell our soul or bust our butt. We work hard, then we are perceived as gaining it with integrity, quote unquote. When we do it fast and easily, then we are seen as probably getting it dishonestly, quote unquote. Especially in the make money quick schemes. We're looked poorly upon. To do this, we have to take drugs, sex, pills, alcohol, food, whatever we need to do to not feel, so we can run the program codes to quote unquote make money. Both ways, you typically have to stop listening to your internal guidance system. While all along everything is energy vibration, so we are running the vibration of sex, drugs, compulsion that our second creation mechanics feeds off of. It really does not care about paper money, which is a toy for its food to play with. When we think we have to work hard for the paper, we are not following our field guidance system that tells us what we want and what we do not want, and are we moving closer to or farther away from what we selfishly want. Our second creation mechanics keeps feeding on our energy of need to make more, fear of not having enough, or the big program drama of, if I do not do this job that I really don't like, to survive, to feed myself, family, etc., there is no following our own internal guidance field system. There is no standing in our personal power of abundance. There is only resistance to all that we are. The lawless mortgage and its accomplice money. Money is created in thin air by means of a person's signature. If you do not pay a demand, a court de facto will consider you to be depriving whoever makes the demand. Money is faith placed on something. Can someone deprive someone of their belief? Remember, we create the value of money, not the other way around. Financial institution will take the promissory note with date and amount upon the success of the credit check. Will monetize the note, which comprises typing the number into a computer database ledger. Mortgage, a deed plus mortgage acceptance pages, and the promissory note, which must be paid in full via mortgage process rights. You never have the right to give away property you do not own. We are the asset. Our signature autograph is what creates the value that is intrinsic to each being. So in other words, you really don't need a mortgage. The bank is cashing in on something that they didn't even earn, because we made the money with our signature. It is a big lie, a big dishonesty that the banks do, and that's part of it, and that's the controller Illuminati system. Money as a promissory note of £10 versus actual £10. Okay. They actually have equal value. It's because they are the value we give it as a resource. So what is currency? Is it gold and silver? Or are they real money? Only in terms of what we give it. Do we really need money? or is it a made-up concept? Something to ponder. Banks extend credit by simply increasing the borrowing customer's current account, which can be paid by the bank writing a check on itself. That is how banks create credit. The note customer signs, autographs, is taken as free money for the bank to add to their assets without having to pay taxes or be accountable for. The Banker Trey Illuminati Second Creation program we have created is another way we keep ourselves controlled or dumbed down to who we are. Because again, in all of this that we're talking about, at some level, we created all of this second creation mechanics. Whether we created it mindfully or unmindfully, we still created it. We're still responsible for it. Each country is not allowed to print their own money. For example, the British government charters the Bank of England to make money. Whenever the government tried to print their own money, the politician that instigated this was discredited, or if this failed, was quickly terminated by suicide, by quote-unquote suicide. In the U.S., we have the Federal Reserve Bank, the Bank of England, Federal Reserve Bank, and the country's bank are all under UPU, Illuminati Rothschild clan. The world banking system of the second creation mechanics Illuminati keep their tabs on doling out their toys. Wars in Iran, Iraq, Vietnam, Philippines, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, all over Africa and South Central America have all been about two things mainly. 1. Off-world technology control, and 2. Money and banking control. These are what the power brokers of second creation mechanics use to control all other aspects of life on spaceship Earth in quarantine. What would second creation mechanics be without the illusion of money? If we stopped using money, how much of the structure, if the world as we know it, would stay the way it is? In other words, how organic versus artificial is the life we live now? How programmed are we in having things? How much of material and organizational structure of doing things would stay? How long would it take for us to own our power and manifest at will what we need? What would happen if we all started to follow our own personal guidance system? How about us going back to natural law of first creation mechanics? This is pretty much what we think is what we get, with ease and grace, when we allow it to be. Much of the mechanics of manifestation was explained and noted in Self-Empowerment Principles of Awareness 2 webinar. And part 4, correct communication equals correct manifestation. Communication is done both verbally and non-verbally. Thoughts are the things not yet manifested. What we say is always affected by how we feel. What is the hidden thought emos behind what we say? Which thoughts, when held for a while, become a force on autopilot? Wanted or not? What do we truly feel behind driving our words and the emos, thoughts creating things? Emos, emotions equals energy and motion. Codes of communication. Kielons of light, electrical, and sound vibration each thought carries. These thoughts attract similar thoughts that eventually create complex programming grids or matrix or energy disks of reality, or energy grids of reality. Each 12 tribe had a specific keyline code specific to aligning the Earth's grids and all life on Earth to express as God's source first eternal. The ancient myths have coded messages to help us awaken our own codes, even the feared ones. As we align ourself, we align our world, which includes all possibilities of Earth and her inhabitants and all other parts of self and other worlds and or realms. Codes of communication some more. Say or write 2 plus 2 equals 4, 2 plus 2 equals 4, 2 plus 2 equals 4, 4 plus 4 equals 8, 8 plus 8 equals 16. What is the point? Did you hear what I said? What I meant what I said. When I said what I meant what I said. For the words that we hear are what we think, what we hear and what we say or write, with the case law, fraud, fiction. For the oral statement of the assumption or opinion is with the claim of the paper with the writing of the claim. Again, more quantum grammar here. Written language, when used correctly, can help narrow the gap between how we feel and what we say. When we write contract, we want to make sure we are speaking fact and not fiction. Contracts can be between 2 or more people, or it can be with ourselves. The words United States are a contract between 2 or more beings. When we state what we want to create, are we using a language that for the facts speak, or are we speaking in fiction? There is a part of us that knows the correct language. For 85,000 years we have trained 8,500 years we have trained to speak fiction. If I wrote in quantum grammar for this webinar, all our brains would lock up because we have been trained to think in illusion. Hence, this is where second creation mechanics lives. Quantum grammar, correct sentence structure, communication, parsi, syntax grammar, which I believe is first creation mechanics language. Correct mathematical communication syntax language that can be written forwards and backwards and still mean the same thing. Sentences are broken down to their different parts, which includes looking at each letter all the way up to combining phrases, clauses, and sentences and assigning number values to each. Sentences begin and or end with prepositional phrases, keeping facts a fact, and the sentences are written in now time. There is no negative conditions, and synonyms can be interchangeable, and still the sentences will mean the same thing. While our first language is the language of psychic communication or direct cognition, written quantum language comes as close as we can get to the accurate communication, given the limitations of words to define ideas in proper sentence and flavor. More specifics on quantum grammar. Adverb, modification equals no contract, fiction. Value of 1. Verb, action, thinking, is singular or plural. Value 2. Adjective, no contract, color of the fact. Value 3. Pronoun, equaling pro equals no, no equals no, un equals no, no fact. For a fact that stands alone is with this claim of the no contract fact. And a value of 4. Preposition, pre equals no, position equals contract, correction. Rules, vote, methods equals position, lotio, fact known, value of 5. Article equals no contract equals ailing corruption from the beginning, value of 6. Correction is equals laudio equals ownership from the beginning, original jurisdiction. Noun equals no. The correction is fact equals known with a line over the OW equals laudio, value 7. Past time tense equals fiction time, value of 8. Future time tense equals fiction time, value 9. There is only now time, which we already know that, right? When we look at first creation mechanics, it is now time. Conjunction equals and or, value of 0. In quantum grammar, each letter and word has a number value. By numbering what a verb and adverb, etc. is, then we can quickly determine the sentence structure used. Next, we would reorder the sentence structure to have higher valued numbers, or numbers that, like a corrected article or a noun, or make sure it has a preposition. And then we'd use a book of synonyms to fill in the missing words. There's a predictable, orderly, clear structure to the meaning of the sentences. So anyone from anywhere can read the sentence and clearly know what the sentence means. No one ever wanted to war over a math problem, and all incorrect communication can be reduced to a math problem, waiting for solution. For the coding of the language we manifest. Language is made up of cheilontic codes, which are electrotonal standing waves of pre-matter consciousness. Each letter has a meaning. For instance, vowels A, E, I, O, and U, or vowel followed by 2 consonants means no or no fact, and all consonants mean facts. Positioning of words and letters in a sentence does affect their meaning. The words create tones of musical commands that communicate to the elements of all life everywhere. For instance, Dr. Emoto has already shown us how words on a piece of paper attached to a bottle of water can change the structure of water, and our bodies are 90% water. Water is made up of conscious, aware elements open to our co-creative command, God Source to God Source. The Real People of Australia on Communication Codes. From their perspective, and this I got from Mutant's Message from Down Under by Marlo Morgan, fabulous book. If you want to learn about first creation mechanics, it's very good. The real people don't think the voice was designed for talking. You do that with your heart-head center. If the voice is used for speech, one tends to get into small, unnecessary, and less spiritual conversation. The voice is made for singing, for celebration, and healing. We have become the mutants who speak in fiction. Let us be the real people again. Mental telepathy. It is the way humans were designed to communicate. Different languages and various written alphabets are eliminated as obstacles when people use head-to-head talk. Right now, written language in adverb-verb syntax is a huge obstacle to correct communication. There are people on Earth who are not racist, who live together in total support and harmony, who discover their own unique talent and honor it as well as honor everyone else. The reason, according to Uta, that real people can use telepathy is because, above all, they never tell a lie, not a small fabrication, not a partial truth, nor any gross, unreal statement. No lies at all, so they have nothing to hide. Be honest with how we feel and stop pretending to be something that we are not to get along. Speak as person illusion equals manifested illusion. When we see ourselves in the illusion, we speak as a person or actor on the state, manifesting as a mutation of what we are. When we speak to change the illusion, we only make more illusion. We have been staying on the second creation mechanics game board matrix. The way we can step off the board is awareness, awareness, awareness. How do we feel? Are we being mindful of our thoughts, feelings, and actions? Are we running old patterns of past and future, or are we in the eternal now? Well-being and manifestation. Hard work is not the path to well-being. Feeling good is the path to well-being. You don't create through action, you create through vibration, and then your vibration calls action from you. Manifestation template. We as humans are vibrational beings. We as humans are a manifestation template of light and sound resonating as one. The story is we are the Magi manifester fact and the image fiction. The illusion we have been living is that there is a lady luck or something to the equivalent that we have to tap into to manifest or create what we want. The story is we are the Magi manifester and the I-Mag fiction. The question is, are we in the space of allowing or in the space of resistance to what we want? The Law of Attraction, Abraham Hicks. The beasts know it. If you know that all is well, you know all you need to know. And if you know life is supposed to be fun, you know more than almost anybody else knows. And if you know that the way you feel is your indicator of how connected you are to Source, then you know that which only a handful of deliberate creators, respective to the total population, really know. The beasts all know it. Your animals know that all is well. Your animals live in the moment. They understand the power of their now. They expect the universe to yield to them. They don't worry or fret or conjure or make laws or rules or try to regulate. They are pure positive energy. Your beasts vibrate more on the energy scale of contentment than of passion. Their desire was set forth from non-physical and continues to be set forth by those like you who want energy balance, who want sustenance. The difference between the beast and the human is that the beast is more general. The beast is more general in its intent. The human is usually less blended, usually less allowing of the energy to flow, but is more specific. And that is why the human is seen to be the creator, while the beast is more the balancer of energy. And good old Abraham. Being in a state of well-being, knowing all is well, and whatever we put our attention on is made done. This state of being is a huge factor in whether or not second creation mechanics will realign back to first creation mechanics. Second creation is in resistance to the natural flow of life. First creation is in the flow of life because first creation is aware of what it is and second creation is not. Both are it. We created the New World Order Illuminati person state of second creation mechanics. We can honor all creations and realign back to first creation mechanics. We first have to wake up and remember what we have been creating in our fears, despair, anger, avoidance. Lower frequency emotions or vibrations take us out of tune with the total source flow that we be. When we align with who we are, all frequencies, as source energy, all that we speak for is given. Forgiven. We just need to be in vibrational alignment with what we want. Higher vibration, lower oscillation, magnetic, means more solid, contracting, heavy energy flow. Low vibration, higher oscillation, electric, means more expansive, lighter, powerful energy flow. This twist on the language code is another reason we have been staying asleep. The New Age movement has made it popular to say high vibration, thinking we mean more light-based when it really means to become more dense. Say vibration and oscillation out loud to yourself. Which one feels denser and which one feels lighter? The value of well-being. When we have a true sense of well-being, that well-being recodes what was once disharmonic. Remember, material objects are manifest energy, so money and things are tools and run the energy they are given. If you run the love and appreciation of Source through them, win-win always occurs. When we hoard and hold back and feel resistance and negative thinking, we enforce the finite second creation mechanics. The court case discussed earlier, I saw where my vibration was a match to the second creation mechanics of the system. I was caught up in feeling of wanting to get them back, anger, resentment, and fear of loss. The second creation constructs, while I held on to them, set me on the low-flying second creation vibration disk of finite expression, which in turn allowed me to gain a better understanding of how the establishment works and how I have been playing in it. Since I became aware of what I was doing, I have shifted to a better feeling disc and have been moving myself up the emotional feel scale to embodying my first creation expression as Source. What was tricky is initially the feeling of anger did give me some relief from feeling helpless, but soon I realized to stay in anger was still keeping me in second creation mechanics. I was still stuck in living the person consciousness and not the eternal consciousness. I then began to put my attention on other things that felt good and was able to see everyone as their God Source self. This is not to say I do not have my moments of seeing them in a negative light, but those moments are fewer and I catch them quickly and shift. We have 17 seconds to make a shift before any thought we dwell on develop momentum. If it is a wanted thought, hold it strong for 17 seconds and it will then bring a stronger thought. The same is for what we resist or negative thoughts. We have 17 seconds to take our thought away from unwanted and focus on wanted. Okay, Abraham Hicks. And next, we'll look at the emotional, well, I got emotional scale there, but it's more of an emotional feel scale. First one, the biggest one, the one that we're wanting to fully be and embody, right, is joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. That's the top of the scale. That's the highest flying disc, the being in the core of our being, fully expanded out to all of who we are, is in this state. Passion would be another one that's really close to that. enthusiasm, eagerness, happiness. All these emotions is what we're aspiring to. Positive expectation is another one. Optimism, hopefulness, contentment, boredom. We're getting a little bit lower. Pessimism, frustration, irritation, impatience, overwhelmed, disappointment, doubt, see where we're going, worry, we're getting lower, blame, lower, discouragement, anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy, insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, fear, grief, depression, despair. All these are emotions at some point or other we have been through in our life, but probably on average we're in the lower end of the emotional scale. And one that I think a lot of us on this planet have been caught up in is the fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness. That has been, especially with the controller system, we've been really embodying those vibrations, that way of being. And we've been trained to embody those ways of being. So utilizing this and utilizing the self-empowerment principles of awareness, that we can identify it, be aware of it, and then feel what would be less resistance, less being caught up in those emotions. So next would be insecurity, guilt, unworthiness would actually be a step up. Jealousy would be another step up. Hatred, rage, another step up. Wanting to get revenge, to step up. Anger, on up the emotional scale of these different emotions. All of these listed above it are ones we still don't really want to embody, but if we're stuck in fear, grief, depression, despair, and powerlessness, those actually afford us relief. Many times people don't want us to express those, particularly the revenge, anger, and rage and hatred, and the blame and all that, but it at least gives us some relief. We don't want to stay in those states, but we know that when we feel them, we are moving up. And we can talk ourselves through each of those emotions to a better feeling emotion to move our way up. And as we practice and utilize the self-empowerment principles of awareness, then we can further really move along the scale quickly and really move into the space of joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, and appreciation, which is the core and essence of who we are as God's source, first eternal beings. And as much as we would like, let's see. And also with the law of attraction stuff of what we think is what we get, how we feel, our vibration is what we get, what we ask for we will receive, happens when we honor this emotional feel scale. When we try to jump too high, then we just think it's all a bunch of hooey of this program. Okay. And we will be discussing, the self-empowerment principles of awareness were discussed in the previous webinar, alignment or being in alignment, webinar 2, and they will also be listed a little bit later in this webinar. But I want to really focus on our feel guidance system. Okay. From what we do not want, okay, that resistance, right? When we feel those lower emotions and we know what we do not want, we learn what we want. That desire of what we want is like a rocket that we shoot into the primordial ooze of creation. But when we turn around and keep focusing on what we do not have, or where we are at, then we get more of it. Okay? Because this apparent now moment we're in of the physical things we see around us is actually the past. Okay, it's actually already manifested. That's why we see it tangibly. Okay, so it's already done. We're just seeing the expression of it. So don't worry so much about what is right now because it's the past. The present, which we'll talk about more, is where you're at in your head or where you're at in your mind of your being. Life is full of all possibility, a smorgasbord of choices. Many we do not want and many we do, but we need to not judge any choice, just choose our own selfish desires. That's one thing that we're trained is not to be selfish. And we are powerful manifestors, choosing, expressing, being, thriving, expanding. We have to be selfish. We have to want to move out. We have to want to move forward. We have to want to embody and express and be. Desire, appreciation, selfishness, it's all part of the experience. When we focus on the thrill of what we want, feeling that the well-being of life, we get what we want because we are it, source as energy. Okay, and that is again stressing where really the present moment is how are we feeling? Where is our mind? Where is our thoughts at? Or we can keep beating the drum of what we do not want, what we do not want, what we do not have. Oh no, oh no, oh no, I don't have enough, I don't have enough. In a state of low frequency, we then stay in a state of misalignment, which then aligns us with our, surprise, second creation construct because we are it. We keep creating that second creation mechanics construct. Nobody else but us. For we are never done. And it's okay because we are forever making more choices when we align ourself to the high-flying disk of our God Source First Eternal. We live the self-empowerment principles of awareness. We live in perpetual joy and appreciation, fully cognizant to who we are. Then everything falls into place after that. This in turn then causes us to run the program. Yeah, and if we don't do this, then we keep creating second creation mechanics. We run the program of person / name. Great tool for assessing communication codes of 12 tribes, ancient texts that have second creation mechanics running through them. Again, the field guidance, our field guidance system. Okay, when we read these texts, what's our gut feel? What's our do we feel yes, or do we feel As we read these texts, feel what the message is saying. Do we feel empowered and strong and feel or do we feel unworthy, resistance, depressed, controlled? Do we feel stronger and awakened by the information, or do we feel like we have to strive to work at something? Never, ever strive to work for something, because you put that energy into something like that, that's what you keep getting is the striving. Remember, these texts are coded messages we had left for ourselves to awaken us. So there's also hidden twists to take our attention away. But our field guidance system knows. Our intuition knows. Okay? Let's see. For instance, when a message says, a Savior will save us, how do we feel versus this message? We are our own Savior. What is the vibration of the words is being said? We can then get closer to the time when we communicated empathically without words or with thoughts. We then are awakened. When we become more conscious and aware, then the subconscious finally reunites. Okay? The self-empowerment principles of awareness, again, are so key to this process. And here we go. First one, let go of attachments. The more we hold on to something and hoard something, the more we're tied to the lack of it. Be in the forever now, which we are learning more and more what that really means. Okay. And we've been discussing quite a bit the difference between feel versus feelings. Feelings tend to be the mental emos, the programs that we run, the training, okay? Whereas the feel is more of the gut, intuitive body feel. Can still be those different emotions, but they're more felt in the body than in the head, okay? Choose mindful action now. Again, are you mindful of your thoughts, feelings, and actions? So that when we get going in some of these different emotional feel states and we're running the mental program of them, of the training, we can catch ourselves and then find a better feeling. Be in our internal, eternal core of our being, which we discussed quite a bit in the last webinar. But we are internal in the core of our manifest light state, and eternal as in the fullness of all life everywhere. On all levels of our being, we are multidimensionality beings. So we have our incarnate soul, oversoul, avatar, rishi, rashales on up. We are to our Christ star and beyond. And all those levels are of value and meaning. And just like the emotional states, you can't jump. You have to be with them all and integrate them all. Breathe in harmony. Breathe. And feel what that does for the body. Breathing in and breathing out. Being present. Feeling the flow, harmonious flow of life through us. Balance. Finding that balance for yourself. You cannot look at anybody else for what that is, and that balance can change every moment, every hour, every day. It's being present to where you are. Live in perpetual appreciation. Huge, especially in regards to the law of attraction. If you're living in perpetual appreciation and you're appreciating rampages of appreciation of everything you're involved in, everything that you bring into your life, everything that you physically see that you've manifested around you, appreciating it, you're in a state of perpetual appreciation, you bring more of positive aspects, positive expressions into your life. That is your now moment. That is also being in the forever now, is living in perpetual appreciation. And also being on your high flying disc, or the core of your being, as a God source, first eternal. Trust in life. We're trusting in life. We're trusting in who we are. We know who we are. We're confident in who we are. We know all of everything, people, places, things, everything that is in our hologram, in our expression, is us, part of who we are. So we trust in the fullness of everything, the fullness of life. Be our authentic self. Don't try to which takes us out of the person name state that we've been assigned, or the role that we've been trying to fit into. When we are our authentic self, we are our authentic, eternal God source, first eternal being. Expressing from that, all is open, all is manifest to us. Live joyfulness. Kind of up there with the live perpetual appreciation. Our natural state is joy, harmony, appreciation, exuberance. So, and it's all a matter of choice. Because remember, everything around us physically is already happened. It's a manifestation of where our consciousness is or has been. So when we make the choice to live joyfulness, then the result will be things around us will manifest in that joyfulness. All 12 of these principles, when utilized, support us becoming self-actualized, self-sovereign, universal citizens, and not persons of the state. The Being in Alignment 2 webinar spoke of them in more detail, but they are interlaced throughout this webinar too, and probably will be for every other webinar that we do in the future. So these are really good ones to know. And basically, these are all in almost every teaching. These are somehow listed in some form or another, because they're all very important. It is important to understand when utilizing the field guidance system that it is affected by our second creation programs, which run on the planet and also in our bodies, which leads us to our next slide. The goat brain, meme, sympathetic nervous system, and belly brain, enteric nervous system. The vagus nerve functions as the gateway between these brains. The vagus nerve has an unnatural second creation mechanic sheath around it controlling how it functions. Both systems connect to the primal innate body feel, the part of us that innately follows the natural laws of nature spirit. These natural innate functions have second creation mechanics overlays. The inorganic Tanaki membrane controls the fight or flight meme goat brain of the SNS, creating a subconscious and unconscious mind. Okay. The self-empowerment principles awareness again help to clear the artificial layer. Also, the Tantriya Hura teachings from the August 2013 workshop, Yesha Dean's work, focusing on wanted helps too. And then focusing on wanted, feel-good general thoughts help as well. This layer is built on our negative second creation thought programs. Okay. When we take our attention away from these thoughts, they do not hold much energy to keep them sustained. They will become undifferentiated energy units. Okay. And again, they're tied to the emotional or emos, okay? The mental program feel, okay? Not the actual body feel. There's a difference. The more you practice with the self-empowerment principles, you'll see the difference, okay? Many times they can be very similar, but there is a difference. And I would say on average that probably the higher emotional state are probably more in line with the actual real feel body, and the lower emotional states is probably more tied to the memes, the goat brain, the emo states of the mental second creation programs. Oops. Further adding our diet of highly refined foods, and actually, okay, yeah, of highly refined foods, junk food, and GMOs add those to the mix, causes the flora in our gut to be irregular, which in turn affects the enteric nervous system, the belly brain, our gut, right? So this contributes to irritability and aggressive anger feelings that do not actually coincide with what is really happening, but can cause depression, roller coasters, where we do not know which way is up and which way is down. We in turn become further distant from our personal innate feeling guidance system. We then become caught up in the mental emoting mind of second creation mechanics. We are plasma generators. As we understand better who we are as God Source First Eternal, we come to understand we are plasma power generators. All life in its full expression are plasma generators. The manifestation template or DNA template is a plasma generator creating more plasma generators. Okay? Cleaning up our vessel helps us to run the plasma to create worlds of experiences. We are the lifeblood of the universe, because after all, that's what plasma is, right? We are it. We are the conscious or isness or beingness that creates the awake, aware, conscious, full, and complete elements that make up the universe. Plasma could be considered the blood that runs through the universe or the life-giving force of the universe. We are natural generators of the lifeblood of the universe. As we connect back into first creation mechanics, again we return to perpetually renewing of the lifeblood of the universe. Another way to look at it, we are a sun rishi beings, for science has learned that plasma makes up much of the sun. In public, they still know very little beyond this. The power of ionization. As plasma generators, we are fission-fusion generators. For example, when gases return to their plasma state through heat, the molecules or atoms ionizes, which contains charged particles, positive ions and negative electrons or ions. Ionization causes the electrons in an atom to separate from the electrons of another atom, keeping the atoms themselves expanded, and also keeps them from clumping with each other. Clumping of atoms over time can cause cellular compaction, which causes illness and fragmentation of the natural in-breath, out-breath, perpetual renewal of life. So, spend time each day with your feet touching directly to the ground and feeling the rays of the sun on your skin. The sun feeds us via solar symbiosis, and the earth ionizes our plasma blood. And now, what really is the now? So getting a little bit more in depth in that, because that is just such a key in all of this, one of the many keys. Now is not what we see when we look around us. Now is our point of interconnection. Okay? Because remember, what we see is the past. It's already the manifestation of what we had held in intention and created to begin with. The what is really the manifestation or projection of what was or what we really already thought about. Being tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to our eternal beingness, source consciousness. Pay attention to how we feel about what we do not want. We then feel what we do want with every breath we take. With each now moment, we feel what is a slightly better place to be, the vibration of what we want in every now moment, now, now, now. The next slide gives powerful information and supports in aligning our vibration with the vibration of well-being, which leads us to the success we are launching with every desire we hold our attention to. The Supermind Evolution System. What we think and feel is what we get. What force is required to change our psychic reality into a physical reality? Plus the complete dream programming technique revealed for free for the very first time. How to improve our life while sleeping. And I quite felt significant shifts utilizing this program. How we can heal people across the world with the power of the mind and remote influencing comes with a remote influencing exercise you can try. How matter and antimatter create our physical world. So it's all the stuff that we're working on right now. An E-prime exercise to increase our brain power, what the dream world is made of, and how it is possible to have shared dreams, why our body appears to age, and much more. Just a lot of really good information. I really thoroughly enjoyed it and got a lot out of it, and it really inspired me for doing this webinar. So there's the link here that you can click onto and utilize their programs. And in summary, the New World Order is really the same thing as the One World Order that has been on the second creation mechanics agenda for thousands, really millions of years. The establishment of the 70-year international bankruptcy is playing a part in instituting control following strict timelines, which led to the institution of adverb-verb illusion, further creating world control under the Universal Postal Union. The postal system is in control of the military and the money, all facets of it. They are the policy makers of the United Nations. Our second creation program has created a world of contrast for us to explore. We have become caught up in the program and became a named person of the state rather than a self-sovereign expression of the Universal One. Awareness, mindfulness, and honoring our own field guidance system will lead us back to being the fullness of the God Source eternal we be.
In conclusion, we, creators, emerged as a great civilization who honored all life everywhere. In our explorations, we created a second creation construct that gave us contrast to explore more. But we also got wrapped up in our creation and got sidetracked. The civilization declined as our awareness declined, but we kept our stories in code of who we are for our future now selves to awaken. Quantum grammar fills in many of the missing code words, and our field guidance system fills in the rest as we continue to grow and expand to live huge now. Alignment in Spirit Inc. thanks you all so much for participating with us. We hope this experience awakened you all as much as it did us. It was and still is a wonderful exploration into who we are and what we have created as vibratory field source beings. We both look forward to discovering what the next webinar will be. Included is a list of resources for everyone to explore on their own about much of the information presented today.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all so much for participating with us, Katie and George. We hope this experience awakened you all as much as it did us. It was and still is a wonderful exploration into who we are and what we have created as vibrational field source beings. We both look forward to discovering what the next webinar will be, because we don't know. Included is a list of resources for everyone to explore on their own about much of the information presented today. And I'll just quickly go through those, and George will probably say some words, and thank you so much.